when I first heard him sing, it like blew my mind, and I knew then, just on an artist level, I needed to talk to this human.
If you're fortunate enough to be good at something that you like, you owe it to yourself just to push past something, a feeling.
Style is more than just the clothes you wear. It's the essence of who you are, and it's in everything you do. Discover it here and unleash your style beyond what you wear. From battling creative burnout to viral fame, the dynamic musical duo Yassin and Sean share their style, music, and the good and bad behind their journey to releasing their debut album, Just Try. In this two-part episode, they reveal how they pushed through rejection, went viral in the most unexpected way, and stayed true to their unique musical style. Plus, they treat us to live performances you won't want to miss. This is an episode every artist, every entrepreneur, every person facing a challenge needs to hear. So welcome back to House of Style. I'm your host, Grant Alexander, and today we have the incredibly talented and creative Yassin and Sean. If you haven't heard their music yet, you are in for a treat. They're a genre-crossing music duo who've gone viral on social media and bring such fun, positivity, and creativity into everything they do. They've been recording and performing together since 2019, and what I love about them is their unique style, both in their music and in the way they approach their craft. And recently, I came across a post of theirs that really resonated with me, and I reached out to have them here. And I think it sums up what we're all about here at House of Style. They wrote about the challenges of getting their debut album, Just Try, out into the world and how they refused to give up, even when things got tough, and their style behind this. And that is what we're going to dig into today. So we'll talk about their journey, the struggles they faced trying to get their music heard, and how they kept their creative fire alive. And to make it even better, we're going to be treated with those live performances, so don't leave early. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate it. Like I said, there was that one post that I've been following you, and I saw one of the If Trump Sang videos that you guys do, which, if to the viewers and listeners, if you haven't heard these, they are absolutely hilarious. They take iconic songs, and Sean does an outrageously good impression of Trump singing those songs. So definitely check those out. And those are how I first came across you guys.
Yes.
And then I looked at and went further and was like, oh my God, these guys can actually play. The voice is amazing. And when you posted that, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what so many entrepreneurs go through. So many creatives go through. I have to talk with you. So I'm excited to have you here. And let's get into kind of early beginnings and how things started. Take me through how you guys met. And even before that, if you want to start off, were you performing early on? Was music a big part of your lives from a young age, or did it come into the life a little later?
Right. Well, for me, at the time, I thought music came into my life really late. I started playing piano at 14, and I just had this thing. I still have it to this day, where I was like, I'm behind everybody. I need to catch up. And yeah, I realize now, being 30, like, oh, I was ahead of the game. I kind of knew what I wanted exactly when I was 14 years old. And so I've been playing ever since then, been writing songs ever since. I was writing and producing for other artists. I was trying to be the behind the scenes guy for a long time. And that led me all over America, all over Canada. I spent a lot of time in LA working with rappers and R&B singers and country artists. And at the end of the day, I found like something was still missing, and I had to pursue my own thing, being the artist. And that's when Sean came into my life. And the way we met, there's this one music venue in the town we're from in Canada. And the first day I ever decided to walk into this venue to just check out the open mic, Sean happened to decide that day, hey, I'm going to try going to an open mic and singing for the first time ever. He had never tried that before. And I saw him sing, and I had a song in mind already that he would sound perfect on. And we met, we had dinner, we had a beautiful bromance immediately began.
That's so cute.
Yeah. And yeah, It's great when you get to just be friends with a person before you start being creative.
Right.
In every experience I've ever had, that's felt like the best results come from like, hey, you can just hang out with the guy, you know?
What was it that clicked right away? What do you think?
I think it was being just funny. Like that definitely helps. It makes it easier. And when someone can kind of like catch on to your sense of humor, I mean, then it puts you much more at ease. And I needed a lot of that a few years ago, just being the nervous individual I have been. But yeah.
Yeah. And when I first heard him sing, it like blew my mind. And I knew then, just on an artist level, I needed to talk to this human. How do you have this talent? It's mind-blowing. And then once you get to know the guy, and he's the most outrageous, funny human being ever. And life is easier when you surround yourselves with outrageous, funny human beings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that. I want to dig into the nervousness. Were you nervous? Hey, Mike.
Also, want to Mike, my phone has been going off in the back. You can just put it on mute, just so I don't want that to fuck up the whole vibe.
We don't,
Yeah.
we don't really care.
Okay, good. Excellent. Good. It was annoying me. I was like, someone's at my front door. I could hear the security camera notification going off.
Who's there? Damn, it's just package again.
Yeah.
Where were we? Oh, yes. Getting into
Nerves.
the nerves. And is that something that you were nervous as a child? And, what caused the nervousness, and how have you kind of pushed through that?
What caused it? I'm not so sure. I mean, I've always kind of been like a tender soul, or just like always feeling like a little kid in the room. I mean, in terms of pushing through it, it's just kind of like you think about what you could do in your life, and if you're fortunate enough to be good at something that you like, you owe it to yourself just to push past something, a feeling. And it's in pushing past that I've learned more about it. I mean, I've definitely just shied away from experiences in the past.
Sure.
But once you take the first step, i.e. the open mic, like, at that time I'd taken some guitar lessons when I was young, piano even younger. I come from a musical family. My Aunt Andrea, shout out Aunt Andrea Terrio, is a singer over in Cape Cod. And but yeah, it's like at 25 years old, I was like, let's try this, because I'll be kicking myself if I didn't go to at least one open mic. And here we are. So,
do you still get nervous now, or is it kind of a different nervous energy?
I think it's a different nervous energy, because when you first start something, you just haven't seen it. You don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so I don't need any help coming up with wild scenarios.
Sure.
I call that my creative side.
Yeah.
But it's gotten more used to it.
Yeah. Nervousness. Like, I remember when we first did our first handful of shows. Yeah, I remember like there was literally a time where we were driving to a venue, and like Sean had to throw up. Like, he was like, "Hey, pull over."
Yeah.
And then
It's like Eminem and 8 Mile.
yeah, it was like
Literally.
that. It was the mom
Mom
spaghetti
spaghetti.
moment.
Yeah.
And I had the similar feeling of like, oh my God, I don't know. Like, there's
You threw up because he
yeah,
did that.
I was like, am I going to throw up because he's throwing
Yeah.
up? We're brothers like that.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, I don't know. You learn how to turn nervousness into excitement and energy and adrenaline for when you go on stage. And if you can figure that out within yourself, like, you're going to be in a great position.
Yeah.
You know?
I always felt like when you stop feeling butterflies and stop any form of, your heart rate should increase a little bit.
Yeah.
And if it's not, to me, there's something that might be missing, or something that's wrong with that.
That's usually our sign to challenge what we're doing. How do we add more? If we're so used to, like, before we were just doing the duo thing, then we got used to it. And then we're like, okay, let's bring in a band. Let's bring in a band of guys we don't even know and try to build that vibe together. And that made me extremely nervous, being a control freak.
Oh yeah, I get that.
And yeah, like, that's always our sign. Like, okay, this is too easy. We know what we're doing. How do we like make it more difficult for ourselves to improve?
Yeah.
You know?
So as you are kind of, so you meet, you like each other as people, which is, you know, I think the bedrock,
Yeah.
and like what makes it work, like you said. So as you start developing your musical style and start to put it out there, put out, you know, your first song, how did that style develop? Was it, you know, sitting around just chatting through things? Is it just like, let's start making music, see what resonates and what we both feel a vibe? And then we'll get into, after that, I want to hear kind of like bringing in the band members that you don't know, and how do you get them to understand your style? Like, how do you communicate that style to them?
Right. And yeah, so at first, just because of my start, like I started trying to be in the music industry over 10 years ago. So I was trying to write, and like I was trying to write songs for the weekend. Like I wanted to write for artists so I studied people. I could hear a voice like Sean's and be like, I can write to that.
Cool.
I can write a sound like that. And I was at first the primary writer, and I just had a bunch of songs that were coming out where I was like, okay, that's perfect for Sean. That's perfect for Sean. But at the time, like I thought he had this more, you know, country rock voice, but then I found out he has this beautiful falsetto. And then our sound kept on evolving because I was like, oh, his talents keep revealing themselves.
Yeah.
And I was able to write around that. But then as we developed, we got closer, I would bring in a song and I would be like, okay, this is the general idea. And then Sean would manipulate the melody to something he can sing and I can't. And
interesting.
Or he would come in with a verse and I'm like, you got to finish that because there's something special there. And then I can bring in my producer and writing skills that I've developed for 10 years to be like, this is how we make this a big song.
Yeah.
So it's been very interesting, like building that up together. Mm-hmm. And for this album, it's been every song on the album pretty much has been kind of a magical moment where I either brought some music in or Sean brought some words in and they just melded together perfectly.
Nice.
And that magic doesn't happen very often when you're trying to create.
Yeah.
And when it does, you got to capitalize on it.
I definitely think being friends with each other, like knowing each other as people outside of just the craft makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Sean, did you know that your falsetto was amazing and that, you know, all these talents that he talks about developing and revealing themselves? Did you know you had those, or those things that you've just sang and you're like, it's probably all right?
Well, definitely a lot of concerts in the shower and just singing and being and feeling for myself, being like, oh, that was pretty good. But then, you know, thinking more that thought of me thinking myself as a good singer, it's like, oh, it's kind of crazy, man. That's for other people to do. And especially when it comes to like the falsetto, like I had these silly restrictions in my mind, like, oh, it'd be weird if who I am, the way I look, I guess, came out and started crushing some like, oh, but you know, then
that'll be $5.
I guess, and it also goes back into making your sound as you see someone else do something.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I know you can never be someone else.
Sure.
But you can aim at something to start yourself up. And like,
who was that for you? Not necessarily like inspirations or music you love, but were there a couple? Because when I heard your voice, I immediately had a couple people that I thought of. And I don't usually share comparisons with creatives because as a creative, I don't like being boxed in and labeled and compared, because we all do have our individual style and individual sound.
Yeah.
were
there
one, two, or more artists that you're like, oh, I think I'm similar and I heard them do that, let me test that out?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the more like belty kind of voice, Chris Stapleton in the past little while, obviously I've got the hair now.
You could definitely be a fill-in.
Yeah, I'm honored to have the parallel. Yeah. But then in terms of the falsetto stuff, I've really, when I was at university, not for music or anything related, Earth, Wind, Fire, Philip Bailey, crushing falsettos,
Yeah.
aging like fine wine and getting better. I was just like, oh wow, okay, I can hit that note. Why don't I start to explore this? Then one day, maybe show someone, and then here we are.
Do you keep pushing yourself now?
Definitely, yeah. I think trying to find new things to do. Like I do, like on top of singing, I like sound effects, making noises, doing impressions, obviously, and just like mimicking things. There's something about it, and it seems so silly, but it's so fulfilling when I hear something and I'm able to get kind of close to it. It's like, why do I like this? I don't know, but
the impressions are absolutely nuts. They're amazing.
10 out of 10.
We can maybe allow one or two in the normal section, but we're gonna have some of those for the bonus content later. Yeah. We're saving those gems.
Yeah.
You can answer some questions as Winnie the Pooh later if you want. Yeah.
Where do you guys? Did you find inspiration externally? When I see, whether it's clothing designs or if I see an outfit I love, I'm like, oh, and that gives me inspiration. And sometimes, I talk about it on one of my solo episodes. I got inspiration that 5 years ago still impacts a lot of my designs now. And it was from how sunlight hit a cup with lines on it and created lines on a table when I moved it. And so I'm, sometimes I have my signatures that I've developed were things that I'm like, I think this is going to work. I think it's going to be cool and then it will resonate with people.
Yeah.
But often I see something, I'm like, me being me, I'm like, I can make it better.
Right.
Do you guys find inspiration outside ever, or is it a lot of it just what's in your head?
I think it's always a mix of both. I try not to get caught up in like the modern music game of like, oh, like so and so just made a great record, like let me try to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing that for so many years where I was like studying the top 10 Billboard songs, being like, how do I recreate that sound? How do I do that better?
Sure.
And now I still have that skill set, but I try to just, now with the amount of knowledge, I'm sure you can relate, of just like, clothes, how to manipulate it to turn it into something beautiful, right? And I feel like I have a skill set where now there's like a base level of inspiration that I've had my whole life from listening to Billy Joel as a kid to now. So when I go into a room trying to create, it doesn't feel like me thinking, okay, let me try to do that better. It's kind of, I want to be in a raw situation where it just comes out naturally, and okay, then I can just try my best to impress us. That's my whole thing. Cool. That's our whole thing. With our bits, our music, we want to make ourselves laugh, and we want to do a song where we're like, wow, this is sick.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing. Yeah.
Do you guys like playing covers? I mean, your original songs are awesome, and I'm excited for everybody to hear them. Do you like covers? And if you do you change them up? Do you do them similarly? Like, what do you make it into your own style?
You want to go first?
I'll go first.
We have different answers, I think.
I mean, I love a good cover.
Yeah.
Just because it's simply, there's so many great songs out there. And if you can, somebody's already put a lot of legwork into something.
Sure.
So you're just like, you mean I did this now? This is mine now? No, I do love a great cover.
Do you have, what are a favorite, if you have one on top of mind?
Yeah. I mean, there's a Chris Stapleton song, Death Row. Mm-hmm. It's not not like one of the huge songs, but it's just a great vocal performance. Very simple.
Kiss by Prince. We just started doing that.
Yeah, that's a great one. The first song I did at the open mic was Simple Man by Leonard Skinner.
Cool.
And so it fits when you find something. It's like, oh my God, somebody, like not that I was meant to sing this. My ego, despite the size of my head, is not that big. But
and I think my ego is that big. Yeah, no. So for me, like I have the pretentious,
head, bigger ego.
I have the pretentious artist answer of like, I don't like doing covers unless we can find a very unique way of doing it. Like we have a cover that we do of Creep. That's like this piano ballad thing.
That's awesome.
And it's gotten us really far. Like people really love that.
It's amazing.
It's always kind of our showstopper. Yeah. We love doing that. We have like an R&B version of All Star from Shrek, right? And like and so I like finding those unique situations because to me, in my head, I think Sean is the greatest artist and singer ever. I think it's a disservice. It's not honoring his ability to be like, let's just do this exactly like so and so, because he can do so much more.
And that's where I think I would step in and not disagree, but change it. And it's not you if you don't do it in a similar way and you change it up to not even just put it in your own voice, but like make it your guys. One of the wildest. I think there are some people that do covers that are so unique and like completely out of what anyone would expect, and that shows such creative talent and ability and musical mastery that original artist would be like, shit, that was amazing. And I think he's so talented. Hosier, when his cover of Say My Name by Destiny's Child,
incredible.
It's one of, to me, the wildest just contradictions.
Yeah.
It's like, Say My Name and then Hosier. And it works so, every time I hear it, I'm like, I want to hear this again. And it's brilliant. It's like, Creep is a great one for you guys. Like, your voice fits it, the music fits it.
Yeah.
Are there others that, like, do you want to play around with those and like experiment, or is it like, we're just, let's make some original music?
Well, no,
keep pumping it
I
up.
love experimenting. Like, every time a cover, because I don't want to be the guy being like, let's never do covers, right? The best way to be creative is being open to everything, right? And so to me, I'm always down to try cover, but my first instinct is, how do we change it up? Like, how do we make it our thing? Like, one that we've dabbled in that with the band that sounds really great now is Come Together by the Beatles. But it's funny how that came along. We were trying to learn a Silk Sonic song, like a Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. We're trying to learn Leave the Door Open. And then I was figuring out the chords, and then I just started singing like, Here Come Old Flat, like the lyrics of Come Together. And I was like, oh, wait, this somehow fits in some magical way. And like now that's one of our open intro songs when we start a show, and it just turns into this jam session. And it's like a soul funk version of Come Together.
And so what I'm hearing is that you guys are looking for an external source to basically say, here are some songs that I think would fit.
Hit us and we will do it.
There's going to be I'm dictating this for their social media presence now, but every month they're going to do a cover that I select for them.
We'll do it.
I give my family always tosses out covers, and for some reason I'm just like, stop, guys! Oh my god!
And, so I think I used to do that, and I had one of my closest friends is the stereotypical like starving actor in LA, and Lord, I'm a huge nerd. And when I learned that Lord of the Rings started filming, I was like, dude, you have to get on Lord of the Rings. He's like, oh, thanks for telling me what I should do with my career. I was like, oh, you're right. Like, oh, there are all these shows that are starting to film now. Why don't you try to get onto it? He's like, don't you think as a starving actor, I would try to get onto these if I could? Don't you think I want to go to New Zealand?
To be Frodo.
Yeah.
I want to be Frodo.
Don't you think I want those things too? It's like, thanks for shoving it in my face. And literally from that conversation, I was like, oh, I can't put those thoughts on other people. But now that I like know better and I respect that, now I'm going to tell you guys what to sing every month.
Go do it.
This is going to be big. We're going to have some fun with it.
I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Cool. I want people to get a taste of what you do. So let's pick a song.
Okay.
Whatever you want to sing. Let's get this performance number 1 going.
All right.
And I'm excited for everyone to hear this.
Okay, let's do it. Let's get this keyboard over here.
Enough, but what I do know is absolutely lovely. Maybe I should be a little further away. Or should I get right in? Oh.
Yeah, it was good kind of right now.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So here's my sign. This is to move it away from you. And this is to bring it
Okay.
closer, which I probably won't do. But that means not
Wouldn't it be like you're fine right there and like, no, you're not fine, you need to come closer?
No, if you know you're not fine, move it away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're locked.
There's me with my non-musical knowledge. Yep, there we go. All right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's great for me too.
Should we preface this?
Yeah,
is,
you can
Yeah,
explain.
preface.
This is an original song. It's our latest single that we've released. It'll be on Just Try, our debut album.
Awesome.
It's we're doing a little broken down, slower version of it. It's called All Summer.
This is kind of how we wrote the song, and
Yeah.
then we turned it into more of a summer bop. But this is how it originally sounded.
Yeah. Baby, don't you worry about it. These long flights, they come to an end. 30,000 feet of dreaming of your tan skin in the sand. And if I had a single shot, baby, I would shoot it for you. And if I'm running out of luck, I'd crawl back up and still bet on you, babe. Come a little closer, let's set the tone all day, all night. I'll laugh with you, babe. Ooh. Sharing the laughs of a lifetime as we build a little home past the city line, baby. Ooh. I've been trying to reach you all summer, all summer. I've been trying to get you all summer, all summer. Never want to leave you all summer, all summer. Come a little closer, let's set the tone all day, all night. I'll laugh with you, babe. Ooh. Always in a hurry for you, driving just as fast as I can. Yeah. Ooh, I'm never good at waiting, man. This weight is heavier than I planned. Yeah. And if I had a single shot, baby, I would shoot it for you. And if I'm running out of luck, I'd crawl back up and still bet on you, babe. Ooh. Come a little closer, let's set the tone all day, all night. I'll laugh with you, babe.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Sharing the laughs of a lifetime as you build a little lone past city line, baby. I've been trying to reach you all summer, all summer. I've been trying to get you all summer, all summer. Never want to leave you all summer, all summer. Come a little closer, let's set the tone all day, all night. I'll laugh with
trumpet.
I've been trying to reach you all summer, all summer. I've been trying to get you all summer, all summer. Never want to leave you all summer, all summer. Come a little closer, let's set the tone all day, all night. I'll laugh with you. I've been trying to reach you all summer, all summer. I've been trying to get you all summer, all summer. Never want to leave you all summer, all summer. Come a little closer, let's set the tune all day, all night. A life with you, babe.
Nice.
Goddamn.
Oh.
It's okay. I mean, this is golden.
Excellent.
You know, when it's so good. When I heard All Summer on like the Instagram clips,
Yeah.
like that was the first song I was like, oh shit, he can sing. Hearing it live is a completely different experience. Like it's already so powerful when you hear it on your phone or the computer, but oh my gosh, your voice is goosebumps.
Thanks,
It's
dude.
unbelievable hearing it live.
No, thank
Thank
you.
you.
very
Thank
much.
And the mouth trumpet is, I think, one of my favorite things ever. It's incredible. Where'd you learn the mouth trumpet?
This is Jason Mraz. Jason, thank you so much for
Thanks,
introducing.
Jason. Thank you, Jason.
Life is wonderful. Is
We're
the tune.
yours.
Yeah, we're yours.
I'm yours too.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. Then we can get into, I talking about social media. Part of the post where the one I reached out after, and it being, a lot of people said no because you didn't have the following and the numbers behind it. Is that, were those conversations when people shared that feedback, as shitty and terrible as it is, I don't believe in that. If you're talented, numbers shouldn't matter as much. But was that what made you think, hey, we need to come up with something that is going to bring the numbers? Or how did the If Trump Sang Blank song come to be?
So, somewhat it influenced us trying to even get on TikTok. We're 30. We're not the TikTok demographic, really. It's like, I think it's supposed to be like 15 to 20 is the thing. But,
Yeah.
The numbers weren't there. Yeah. To labels. But the weird thing was we were having a lot of conversations with the labels that were like egging us on, telling us like, we love what you got going on, but it never took the next step to something. And so for me, I'm like, I hate getting rejection, as everyone does.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, let me show you what we got. And so I really studied TikTok and Instagram, and we were already doing Instagram in a way that, like, I think we found a way to love it because we get to make like comedy bits and like play with the absurdity of just posting stuff all the time on the internet.
Yeah.
But so I studied like people who do have a strong following, artists in similar situations, but they have 500,000 followers on TikTok. How did they get there? I would actually DM artists. I would talk to them like, what did you do? And we tried to do those things, sitting in your car saying, here's a song about me getting broken up with, and then just lip syncing and like all these and like even typing out specific captions that are supposed to get the algorithm going, right? None of that worked for us. We were still in the world where we were getting 200 to 300 views on each post on TikTok. And it just came down to a point where I'm like, okay, I've tried literally everything. I've posted, like, people are telling me post like 5 times a day.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Right?
Insane.
And
to have to come up with that content, it's a daunting task.
Yeah.
It takes you away from what you want to do. And that's what makes me dread social media.
And I don't think it's good for the health of an artist's creativity, because all of a sudden you're trying to dumb down and do the simplest thing because that does better on social media platforms.
Right.
Instead of like, and I'm like, that's why there's no David Bowies anymore, because like everyone's just trying to not think about it, just post everything.
Yeah.
No one gives themselves enough time to like really, really create something special. But anyway, so like we were trying everything. It wasn't working. And, all Sean's impressions, not just the Trump thing, everything he does. Every time we're in the studio, when we're hanging out, like it's always happening. We're always improvising nonsense. And I was like, hey, let's just do one of those because that makes us laugh.
Yeah.
And we literally, the first one we did, Welcome to the Black Parade.
Which is one of my favorite songs.
Amazing song.
When I've been sharing about you guys coming on, that's one of the ones I send to people because I love it. So, I mean, I went through my punk emo,
Yeah.
thing growing
Haven't
up.
we all?
Oh yeah.
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 Well, Mike said for our listener, Mike said he's still very much on it, and
Yes.
I am too. I totally
Yeah.
agree with
Yeah.
that. That one I absolutely love.
And that was our first one. And the way it came about was we didn't think about it. I was like, okay, TikTok's just not our thing. We're not those artists.
Yeah.
We'll have to come up with something else. I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to keep going. But I was like, let's just post this nonsense. And the day it happened, Sean was at my place, and I was like, okay, let's just do something. Let's sing a song, and you're doing Trump. And then like we didn't think about it. Sean was like, "Welcome to the Black Parade." I was like, "Yep." And then just started playing the notes. And First Take is what you see on the internet that has almost 30 million
that was
views
First
now.
Take.
That's all the videos.
Hell yeah.
All the videos though are that because it's just improv. We're not planning what Sean's saying. We're not.
That's awesome.
We sit there. We do. That's why I'm always laughing because I don't know what the hell he's going to say.
That's my favorite. Like,
Yeah.
It's so real
Yeah.
when it's not this big shtick. Like we
Yeah.
can't laugh. Like it should be. It's funny. Like you can laugh too. When the sketch comics on SNL
it's the best
laugh
moments.
too.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
literally
Breaks.
the best thing. Like
Yeah.
that is it.
That's made Jimmy Fallon's career. Is
Right.
him
Oh, for
breaking,
sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, like so it just happened. It happened. I remember the day we had a show in Toronto, and I posted that video in the morning, and I didn't look at it at all. I drove to pick up Sean to head to the city early, and I did open my phone then, just being like, "Whoa, it had like 500 views, which was crazy to us at the time." And I was like, "This is nuts that there's 500 views." I don't look at it again till after our show. So it's like 11 p.m. We're with all our friends, my fiance, around a dinner table, and my buddy opens up TikTok. It's at 900,000. And we literally kept refreshing, and we saw it hit 1 million. And that was we all like cheers, and it was this huge moment.
Oh yeah, I go nuts.
But then it kept going, and it 5 million, 10 million, 20 million people are sharing it. And all of a sudden, our following on TikTok before that one video was 300.
Yeah.
Now it's at 93,000. And it's all from, and I try to preach this to people. It's like at the end of and this is so true to my life as a creative person. It's like, yeah, learn from the industry around you. You learn from the best. But at the end of the day, the thing that connects will always be something that you just love yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And we didn't think anything of it other than that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made us laugh. So let's just put it out.
I love so much of that. You know, there's the piece where you studied it. And I don't think people think of musicians and creatives and stylists and designers doing the legwork of the technology side.
Yeah.
I design all of my websites.
Yeah.
And I studied for months how to write proper SEO for a website. Right. So you rank better. And then I learned there's proper SEO for podcasts and there's proper SEO for YouTube. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But so much of it is putting in that work. But I wholeheartedly agree that it is about the content at the end of the day, because if you're not putting out something that's genuine to you, people won't listen no matter how good your SEO might be. You can write the best caption and for YouTube come up with the best thumbnail. But if it doesn't match what you're saying you're going to do, it doesn't match the vibe of that, people aren't going to stay. And ultimately, you want them to stay. You want them to engage because for you guys, like those are listeners. Those are people that are going to buy the vinyl. The album is coming out on vinyl, and we saw how beautiful this thing is. So everybody should get the vinyl too.
Yes, they should.
But so how do you just kind of now just pick songs? You're like, oh, I think this will be a good one.
Yeah. Like the day after, I mean, this is trade secrets, I suppose, but whatever. The day after that one went viral, I was like, okay, you have to come over because we need to capitalize on this opportunity. And for me, I'm like immediately thinking, how do I translate these people who think we're comedians now to like listen to our actual songs, which is a challenge, but still it's working. And it's just a slow burn. But the slow burn now isn't a couple dozen people. It's thousands and thousands of people. And I feel like very lucky that we got like, the point is like, if you keep going and keep trying at the thing, the universe will throw you some great idea that will just connect and then push you even further, right?
Was that transition where you were thinking we have to get people to know that we're legit? There have been a couple posts that was, I think it's like, when you realize if Trump's saying this guy can actually sing, was that the transition?
Yeah, that was the thing.
I clicked on that after the Black Parade. Like that was my exact trajectory.
Yeah.
Well done. It worked.
Great.
You nailed that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, that's all you can kind of do. It's like, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be even with the millions and millions of people seeing the,
for sure.
But still, a fraction of 50 million is pretty damn good.
Absolutely.
And
no,
it's been great. And the people who are now just a fan of our overall vibe with the funny stuff, with the songs, like that's what any artist would ever dream for, right? Like people are really listening, they're engaged, they're laughing, and that's all the stuff we want to do in the world. So if we can make people laugh and make people feel some stuff.
I feel those videos are even more important than the if Trump's saying this ones, because that is the conversion.
Yeah.
You don't need the 50 million.
Yeah.
You need the 50,000 that are like, oh, I want to hear this sing. I want to like that. That's like what got me in the spiral of listening to all of them and like, oh shit, these guys, like, they're extremely talented musicians and cool people. Like that's exactly what builds the following. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people think about it from that. They're just thinking about like what's going to go viral, not what's going to convert people into what we're trying to do and you know, our goal.
Totally. And again, I feel very lucky that we didn't go viral in our first year of making music together. So we had so much content, so much stuff, and so much art, not content. I rather say art out there that people could just discover naturally, and that just helped the whole process, and is still helping to this day. Like I get comments, 100 comments every day of someone realizing, whoa, this guy's just saying "creep" and it gave me chills, or this guy's voice is the most incredible I've heard, and things like that. Like we get that every day now, and like I keep trying to remind myself, because obviously it's also a thing as an artist where you just want more. And for me, especially, I feel like my job in our duo is like, what's next? What's the biggest thing we can aim for? How do we get bigger, better, everything? And I'm trying to remind myself, like, hey, this is the dream. We're living the dream.
Yes. I was gonna say, how do you balance chasing that next thing with celebrating where you are? I mean, I can't imagine that feeling, and maybe it will change after, you know, we put some of this on TikTok. That feeling where you hit 1 million views, like you should be celebrating that. Like that's incredible. That's no small feat.
No, and we did that for the first million we did. And I mean, the sad thing that we've talked about a lot is, unfortunately, like you can immediately tell. And like, I think I'm a very self-aware person. We both are, where we're like, hey, this could disappear at any second. This viral thing, it could stop at the million and never happen again. And we kept reminding ourselves of that while we were like trying to appreciate it all. But then the first video that did only 100,000, we're like, oh my God, I feel bad about myself. And like, I'm thinking, like, why do I feel that way?
Yeah. It's still 100,000.
I know.
It's like people in a room.
Exactly.
Yeah, oh my God.
It's still crazy.
But it just shows how bad like social media can be for your mental health.
Yeah.
But you know, I really try to take in moments every day where I could just say, hey, appreciate this. Even on the plane ride here, like it is a fantasy to be like, yeah, we're flying out to Chicago for a day to do a podcast with this really cool designer, and then we're going to go home and play a show at a festival. Like we have a festival show on Saturday. Like that is the dream.
Yeah.
And you know, it doesn't. When you're a kid, you imagine this thing being, millions and millions of dollars, like the flashy everything, the glitz and glam. But it doesn't always feel like that. But if you look around, you're like, wow, well, this is what the fantasy is. How many times have we been in the shower just being like, oh yeah, like imagining yourself talking on a podcast, like.
Yeah. Oh no. I mean,
I feel sometimes I'm just constantly in a constant TED talk in my mind, being like, okay, today this is how I feel, and this is how the world is, and it's fine. My name is Sean, and I'm going to explain to you everything. Because and I mean that goes back to the just the mental state you are, and reminding yourself that you've really not felt good at certain times in your life. And so I guess we'll call it the background music, the elevator music, the finding that balance of let's go for something else, but let's really enjoy. The elevator music changes. You're still in the elevator, the music's playing, you're trying to go up, but then the songs keep getting better in the elevator, so you're enjoying being right there.
That's a great
I think that would be a great theme for a TED Talk. Like, I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, and like that's totally it. It's like, you know, it's all this amazing stuff's happening. I think it's easy to dream if you're just born a dreamer, you know, like a lot of people are, you're born with it. Like, it's like when I was 14 and I started playing piano, I thought I was so behind the world. I was like, I need to have my whole career right now. And I was 14 and like people have that instinctual ambition and that dreamer mentality. I believe it shows up early for a lot of folks. And it's easy to think bigger, but like it's way harder to be in a moment and say like, "Wow, I've done good." Hey, like pat on my back. Like we achieved something that a lot of people would kill for. A lot of people would really, really do anything to get there, and we're happy. We've done something that brings us joy.
I mean, I'm gonna be coasting off the high of that elevator analogy.
I'm
gonna be like 2 weeks from now and be like, life's like an elevator.
I feel like I'm gonna hear a clip every month of like, you know, this month's elevator music. You know, we're going up still with the mouth trumpet. It's back. That's awesome. You know, I think that's a big part of what I envision this podcast to be about. It's helping people unlock that. I don't know that the dreamer is something that's you're born with or not. I feel, especially working with so many people over every demographic, every industry, I think everybody's a dreamer. And at some point, they got too scared to take action.
You're totally right.
And that I hope that this podcast, talking with people like you guys and sharing these stories, helps them. You know, they might not go for their big dream that they had when they were 14, but if they can do something that's going to positively impact their life in the smallest way, it could be a presentation at work, it could be whatever it might be, it could be in a relationship, in the way you treat people, and it could be walking around smiling, looking around at the trees and how beautiful a day is. That's really what I hope to unlock is that that dreaming, and it's so refreshing to hear this from you guys. It's so energy. I mean, I have so much energy, always too much energy, and I am never shy for, you know, self-inspiration and getting myself motivated to, you know, keep pushing through. But hearing all this from you guys too, it's so energizing, and I want people to walk away with that because it's infectious. It's fun. It's so fun, and like life should be fun.
And you're totally right about everything you just said. And like, it's, you know, you are correct. Like, everyone is a dreamer, and like it's about maintaining that childlike enthusiasm. You know, like that kid gets killed real quick with society, and like if you can just keep that going, keep that enthusiasm through life, that wonder that you had when you were a kid. Even if it doesn't need to be all the time, if you just give yourself a day a week to be like, hey, like, wow, this is all magical, and life is magical.
We're going out TPing all the houses in the neighborhood.
I can just buy ice cream. What?
I do plenty of that. No shortage of that as an adult. My family definitely thinks of me as an adult child, so that resonates pretty well. How do you guys, you know, before these things started happening in taking the elevator up, how did you maintain the confidence in the drive? Was it just a, you know, keep pumping each other up and just say like, hey, we'll get through this? Was it a, we know this is what we're meant to do, and let's just keep trying a few things, and like, this is going to work?
Yeah, I mean, definitely some external validation, some hey, you're doing well. That helps. But I think you get to a point where maybe you feel you haven't had that awesome thing in your life where you're like, oh, like this is my thing, kind of like what you're saying. We're meant to do this, and you start to do it. And so even though it's not working out, you're like, okay, well, I got 1% of this crazy idea in my head. And, people aren't going to pursue your dreams or just goals for you. So you kind of have to do it. So I guess you learn to say 1% today. That's pretty awesome still, because you could just have less than 0% of the thing you want to do, even if you're not exactly clear on what it is. So I guess, long story short, enjoy the process.
And yeah, I this last year has been I'll say very, especially the early part of the year, it was very difficult for us because I always had the vision. I always had an idea. Okay, we're doing this next. We're doing this next. Mm-hmm. Every day I would call Sean or text him being like, this is what we're doing today. This is how we're going to get to the next stage. Here's the song idea. Here's how we do this bigger and better. Yeah. And I've been like that for most of my life. And there's been so many ups and downs, as I'm sure everyone knows. And there are many, many times where I've thought okay, is this a mistake? Right? As we all feel. But again, it's about just when you love something so much, it's you just have to keep going. It's not you have to force yourself. It's at the end of the day, it's if I chose a day when I was in my early 20s to be okay, I have to look at colleges to go to because this isn't working. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'll just write a new song, and then my enthusiasm would be back, and I'm I have to keep going. And the beginning of this year was really hard because we got to this point, we got all this momentum, we finished an album. My favorite thing ever. I've always wanted to make albums. Yeah. And we were able to achieve that in a massive way. And then all of a sudden, we did it. We made it. Now what? We have to rely on external validation, which is it's good in the short term, but the long term, it'll fuck you up. Oh yeah, and,
it's scary for sure.
And so because now we have to get the approval of the big industry folks to be successful. That's at least how it felt at the time. And I felt I was in a place where I didn't know what to do next for the first time in ever. I could always find an answer of what to do, and I had no idea. But you just keep showing up. Every day we would still when there was nothing for us to do, we'd show up. Sometimes we would barely even play music. We would just be in the room together. Sure. That's happened a million times at this point. We were just hey, come over, I'm cooking dinner. It's just about showing up and moving forward. Mm-hmm. And
that's awesome.
It just kept, we kept doing that until, okay, this thing went viral. Okay. We have those numbers people told us we didn't have before. We have a fan base now. All of a sudden in America, people want us to see us play all over America now, which is, as a Canadian artist, impossible to break into. Yeah. All these things are happening. We're on your podcast right now. And that came from just keep going. Yeah. And I truly I believe in Sean more than anything. He to me is the greatest artist ever. And I have the ability to facilitate his talent to be something that everyone can see. To me, I write songs and we are a duo, but Sean is the star of the show, and I have the ability to be hey, here's another door we can go through and create another opportunity to another dream, coming true for both of us. And
you're all right.
You seem decent. I mean, at least average.
At least average. At least. Yeah. That's what people tell me. He's at least average. He's all right.
Yeah. Well, we joke around, if it was left to me in terms of marketing or even selling merch or what, we just wouldn't make any money. They'd be like, I don't know. I'd be like, oh no, you don't need this then.
Another unsolicited thing that we're already going to do these covers that you guys are forced into now. Yeah. But another unsolicited thing, I've always believed that for the longest time, touring musicians, their merch has been awful.
Oh,
They don't
preach.
actually consider the fashion aspect and the design aspect of it. I am happy
We're going to talk
to
about
design some merch for you.
Please.
You guys are musicians and you should do music, just like I'm not going to do your music or try a Trump singing whatever. Although that might actually go viral in a completely wrong and opposite way. Yeah. We're going to avoid that one.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable enough to do that yet.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually that could be a future one. But I think, being an artist now, being a musician, whatever the profession is, whatever an entrepreneur might be doing, it's not just one thing anymore. You have to consider socials, and it's really easy to get lost in it. And I'm wondering, I mean, it's a little different than the merch, but merch, we're going to design some merch.
Yes, please.
Do you define success differently now? Because your album, you've completed it for a while, and you just said, the way you think about it, and you made quotes around success and getting those numbers, whether that's selling out arenas or has your definition of success changed now because you are living the dream, you are doing what you want to do, you're creating what you're excited about?
Yeah. I feel like success is always, the definition is always just evolving for us as we keep progressing through this. I never believed success is the numbers. I believe it's a feeling, right? Like, can you wake up and feel good?
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, like, look at the stuff we're doing. Like we were in the studio yesterday till I got home at like midnight, had to wake up at 3, get on a plane, come here. And like, some people will get tired from that stuff. I don't drink coffee. I got up, I was enthused. I'm like, wow, this is
good for you not having coffee.
This feels like success to me. And there's obviously, I can look at it on another side of my brain that's like, yeah, I want to do the numbers. I want to do arenas. I want to sell a lot of tickets. I still want to achieve that. But I think there is a balance between and the more important thing is there's a balance between the numbers and just the feeling you can get inside, and not thinking about that. You don't need the grandest achievement to get that feeling inside.
Sure.
Yeah, it could be something small, like someone coming up to us and telling us like, wow, this song like got them through school or something like that, and that's success. And you can want both, and but just for just happiness, overall happiness, I feel like to rely on too much on one or the other can be tricky.
I hear that. Yeah. Was there a song that when you were kind of going through it and it's hard, you're not having the numbers, rejection, whatever it might be, was there one song in particular or a couple that you were like, this is it? You mentioned writing and that energizing you. Was there one that you're like, this is really it for you, whether it's the most loved on the album or not? But for you guys, was there one that you're like, this is it, this is so us, and this is,
I feel like there, you go, Sean. What do you think?
We have kind of like a prelude to the album, like, or is it halfway through? Just Try.
No, it's the beginning.
I know things.
The intro.
The intro.
Yeah.
And it's just the track titled Just Try. And it comes from back in the day when we really started out, and Zach was just running some stuff on Pro Tools.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, just sing some stuff to these chords, and kind of just sang about how I was feeling that time, but then how we were feeling in general, just like feeling lost. And then the tag of that is just try, just
my favorite. It's my favorite lyrics that Sean. It was, again, this was a one take moment. I had this new synth sound on Pro Tools, and I was just playing these chords, and Sean sang these lyrics like it doesn't have to look like anybody else's life. Just try. And that, it's funny enough, at the time, we were like, it's a random, like, it was literally 30 seconds. We're like, whatever. And we just kept on revisiting it over the years, and we realized it was the core of what we believe of, like, what we're doing. Sean doesn't need to sound like Chris Stapleton. He doesn't need to be a copycat of Chris Stapleton or Teddy Swims
Right.
or all these people who can sing like Sean. We can do it very specifically us, which is doing some comedy stuff, singing some emotional tunes. Just Raw, is a really special one to me. And yeah, the first lyrics are like, I was lost, so lost, drowning in the crowd. So lost. And yeah, just it's about us trying to like figure out what we are and like how to present that to the world. There's also like another song for us that I think is really special on the album that makes me, I listen to it and I'm like, how did we make this? Is this song called Happy It Exists, where Sean wrote all the lyrics. Like, he was in the back of the car with me and my fiance in Vancouver, and he was just writing all these lyrics down, and he for months didn't tell me about it. He just like kept it to himself, and every day we would rehearse in my parents' basement. We would come over, we would just jam, and months later he's like, hey, so I came up with these words I wrote down a couple months ago when I was...
Did you ever tweak it? Or you just wrote it and then you left it?
I think it like maybe some subtle things, but mostly what I wrote in the back of that car that day, just like staring at them from the back, being like,
Yeah.
They're like, what is he doing?
And,
Yeah.
And then the day he told me about those lyrics, he didn't read them to me or anything. I just said, well, I just had a dream last night of this chord progression. And then he just started singing those lyrics without even thinking about anything. And it turned into, thank you, sir. And yeah, the song just happened. I just played the chords that I literally had a dream of. He just found a melody to those words, and the song was done within an hour. And that's so magical to me. Something he wrote months ago that he forgot about for a while, and then decides to bring up at rehearsal one day randomly.
The perfect time when you just had this.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear one of these. Not to force you into picking one of those two songs, but one of those I want to hear.
I want to give a verse and a chorus.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
I've watched you, watched you from afar, the way you give a love through a screen. And distance shows up right before bed, only to burn in the heat of your heartbeats. It's not in mine, but it's so much bigger than this. This living proof that's right in front of me. I've seen love, yeah, I've seen love, I've seen love, and I'm happy it exists. Said I'm happy it exists. Ooh, I've heard you calling him from far away. Oh, his phone's almost dead. Goddamn, these hours ahead. But it's always there between his nights in your bed. It's not yet mine, but it's so much bigger than this. It's living proof that's right in front of me. Yeah, I've seen love, I've seen love, I've seen love, and I'm happy it exists.
Ba-da-doom.
Ba-da-doom.
Goddamn.
Thank you.
That's
thank you.
beautiful.
Thank
The
you.
words are beautiful in that. That's so incredible that you just made that in the back of a car and that you just dreamt about this progression.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
Just like at the right time.
Yeah.
Like boom.
It is funny because like I remember when I was writing it, and then when I brought it to you, like obviously there's a bit of vulnerability to be like, hey, so while you guys were driving, I was actually writing about you, and like I just like, oh my god, this is so creepy. What the heck? And then, but then if you just like, you know, you let your walls come down. And,
That's
Yeah.
actually when you started singing, I'm a creep.
yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like,
And
oh,
that's
it's
how
all
that
coming
Give a good
together.
idea.
I figured it
Yeah.
Figured it out.
Oh, Radiohead did that. Yeah.
That's incredible. Have you tried writing more in the back of the car? Have you like got back at driving just to
That's a good question.
Not yet, but maybe that's
Next
where I need
album.
to
Yeah.
just in the driveway.
maybe the
just-
next album is just titled From a Car.
From a
Yeah.
car. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
From a car and a dream because
A
you
car and a
gotta,
dream.
you gotta have
Yeah.
both.
Backseat writer.
That's
Actually,
great.
it should be. Yeah.
All right, we are going to probably switch over to part 2 now.
Love
I think
that.
this has been awesome. We covered the early on. I want to get into like, really dive into the creative process because I think there's so much to dive into from a style perspective and what makes you guys you and what will help inspire others. So we're not done yet. In part 2, we're going to dive even deeper into the creation of their debut album, Just Try. And they'll take us through the process of taking a song from its initial idea to the final version, like we just heard, and more live music. So stick around and make sure to tune in for that. Viewers, be sure to subscribe. And if you're listening, be sure to subscribe. Thanks for joining us on House of Style. And remember, style isn't in your closet, it's in you.